So, hey guys, today we're talking about Banisher of the Radiance and Banisher of the Light. So, these two cards have a usage that no other macro type cards have. So, specifically, because these guys are normal summonable, they have added a quality that no other macro card has. This can be dropped untelegraphed. So with actually no telegraphing, you can drop a Banisher of the Radiance, giving your opponent no opportunity to activate any cards that would need to be sent to the graveyard to activate. So we'll go with the obvious first three, I guess. We have Maxi, Effect Veiler. Well, Charmies are actually activatable under macro in case you were wondering. Effect Veiler, and then we have Droll and Lockbird, and we'll also throw in Ghost Ogre for fun, although this is probably the least commonly played out of these four. So that's to say, at start of main phase 1, we can immediately normal summon Banisher of the Radiance, and it turns off all of these. And technically it would also turn off Viscerals, because no light or dark monsters will be going to the graveyard either. Now the main thing about this that is different from something like a fissure or macro. So we're going to do this with the focus of Maxi, I guess, is if we activate fissure, on activation, continuous spell cards, they technically aren't active yet. They're activating currently. So you're able to still put cards into the graveyard on activation. So you're telegraphing that you're setting up this effect right here, kind of, like a macro type effect. So if you have Maxi, you can just activate Maxi in chain to fissure, right? So in that sense, Banisher of the Radiance is going to be a little bit better. And then we have Macrocosmos, same thing, but this is also a continuous trap, so you would have to set this a turn, and then you would need to flip this face up. And then we have cards like Dark Law, which require a mass change, which of course, same issue as the fissure more or less, where this is going to be starting a chain. So you require some sort of hero monster or some sort of monster with mass change 2. Then you would need to activate mass change, and then during this window, you could get hit by Maxi or whatever, what have you, right? So yeah, this is also going to be somewhat worse than Banisher of the Radiance. And then finally, we'll go with Kashtira, which you have to do a full combo to also kind of access. So that'd be like special summon Unicorn, grab Theosis, yada yada, activate this, activate that, boom, drop. Alright, sorry. By this point, your opponent would have been able to use like every single hand trap here before you drop your Rise Heart. So this is if we're exclusively caring about how the macro effect is being utilized here. Well, this is probably the best one out of all of these cards because it's not really respondable. Nothing you can really do about it. So, pretty damn good. Except, like I guess, Banisher of the Light has like this absurdly terrible stat line where it could be run over by literally Maxi. So, not great in that respect, but at least Banisher of the Radiance is a little bit better in terms of stat line. Still possible to run over with some cards, but it does have the niche usage of being able to turn off all of these hand traps nearly immediately, requiring you to have to preemptively shoot a Maxi. But even if you do activate Maxi, that does not stop me from normal summoning like Banisher of the Radiance. So, depending on exactly what deck I'm playing, normal summon Banisher of the Radiance could be ridiculously cracked. Well, the main issue now is that how can we even utilize Banisher of the Radiance? So the main thing here is going to be if we normal summon Banisher, first off, we lose our normal summon, and now we're also under macro. And this is disregarding the fact that we have to hard open one of these two guys, which I mean, There's technically 6 copies, 9 if you play Small World, so it's like somewhat reasonable to open these guys somewhat consistently, at least one of them. The issue is like maybe running too many of them, but that's where Small World comes into play and balances it out. So you could maybe search a actual starter for your deck, I guess. So probably works honestly. But yeah, so if we wanted to play Kashtira with this, here's what we would have to do, and this would uh be not necessarily that great then, where we can go, well, it's still going to be better than Fissure and Unicorn. So if we special summon Unicorn, then immediately normal summon Banisher of the Radiance. Then your opponent can no longer chain a Maxi, Effect Feller, Growl, or what have you to the Unicorn. This protects the Unicorn a little bit more efficiently than um a copy of Fissure. If your opponent just had like superpowers, I guess, they would be able to, I guess, chain Effect Feller and Maxi to the special summon of the Kashtira Unicorn, and that could be a thing, I guess, technically, but less so if you have Banisher of the Radiance. But of course, if your opponent sees you adding, like, for example, we'll say Raidsoth, they'll definitely Maxi this before you drop whatever Kashtira monster. And if you were to normal summon Banisher of the Radiance, 2 things. You can't normal summon a Kashtira under Kashtira Birth anymore. And also you can't special summon your Kashtira monsters. So all these things being true makes Banisher of the Radiance here with Kashtira maybe not actually that great. And that having your normal summon is actually somewhat nice in cash, but it is what it is. So the qualities of the deck we need is it has to require, well, a few things. So first thing, it must not require a normal summon to play because this is what we're using our normal summon on. And then secondly, it must work under macro. So under these conditions, the only deck that I can kind of think fits the bill is maybe Flaunderies. So the idea is pretty simple, where you have like Flaunderies and the Magnificent Map, and that's about the only way you have to use Banisher of the Radiance. Otherwise, I don't think there's a way. If you have a double normal summon, I guess. This only normal summons when beast monsters, which these are fairies, so that's might work. But if you did have more access to map, then you could do like normal summon Banisher of the Radiance, activate map. Not much you can do to interact with map, honestly. And then you normal summon like Robina, chain block with Eaglin, for example, or you do it the other way around and kind of just go through your cards, I guess, and then do your combo. And there's no actual like choke points to hit here anymore, so you can't troll this anymore. You can't Effect Veller. Maxi is already dead because it's Flaunderies, so that makes it kind of moot point. So ideally, we do want to play a deck that is going to need to special summon. So the only deck I can think of that is close to this criteria is Centurion, but for the combo, you actually want to send a card. It's not a discard. Send a card to the graveyard with Stand Up Centurion, which you cannot do under Banisher of the Radiance. But yeah, otherwise the deck is perfectly fine to at least play under macro. So this is probably the closest thing I can think of at the moment that utilizes Banisher decently well. Sometimes the deck will require a normal summon, but it has enough like starters without requiring normal summon that you could probably manage something. And worth mentioning, I guess, is that with Banisher of the Light and Banisher of the Radiance, you can actually protect these guys as well if on your opponent's turn you go ahead and make a Legacia, which protects these guys from being destroyed by battle. So, is it kind of filthy, kind of disgusting? Maybe. But this is kind of a way to kind of abuse the game, I guess, using inherent summons, not starting a chain, or not inherent summon, it's just using the fact that this normal summon doesn't start a chain to your advantage, and that this would allow you to potentially play through hand trap. So I thought that this was something worth keeping in mind. Like, it might not be a hack that's particularly useful today, but it might in future, because macro effects are pretty gross and pretty strong. Like, just for example, if we go to Ryzeal, this deck is not that great under macro. If you're able to go first and drop a macro, going second, it's not as useful, but yeah. You cannot special summon X with its own effects anymore. And then there is also node effect here. Send a card from your hand field to the graveyard. That's no longer doable as cost. Ice has this effect as well, somewhat here. That's not activatable either, if that matters to you. And then for Malice, this actually prevents several things. Access code, not hitting the graveyard, and also it makes it more difficult to summon March Hare, so March Hare ain't going to be able to resolve as easily. Access code is only going to be able to banish itself. It still will gain the attack though. And yeah, that's just a few of the things that it can do against the current meta decks. If we're going for some past ones, this deck just completely ceases to function under macro. It's like laughable. Original Sinful Spoils, not usable. Snake Eye Ash's effect to tribute a guy or whatever, send a guy to the graveyard. That does not work. And Diabell Star also cannot summon itself, so it's also like a dead card. So yeah, pretty damn good, I'd say overall. Well, in terms of like potential usefulness, I can't really think of that many super good ideas to bring this guy out at the moment, because the conditions are kind of rough. And if you do run Small World, of course, it then telegraphs the Banisher a little bit, which, I mean, not amazingly great, but still does play around at least the effect failure, if this comes up, I guess. And also potentially Ghost Ogre, which it doesn't really come up that often. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.